Have you ever had God kind of squash you after you blew it? It didn't seem very supportive, did it? No, let's talk about it. Barry Smith here, author, husband, father, pastor of 25 years, and a guy who has seen God discipline a lot of people, myself included. There are probably a dozen or even 100 reasons why God might correct us, but one thing for sure, He's got good insight. And we can all relate to the insights of God when faced with a runner who is ready to turn back to Him. In the previous 3 videos, we saw that God listens to the prayer of the runner, that God is often in the circumstances of our process, that God's discipline is most always thorough and effective. And today we see the final insight that Jonah finds as a runner in chapter 2. God's motive is to provide and protect. He uses an interesting little Hebrew word used repeatedly in the Old Testament for something very specific. Jonah chapter 2, verse 8. Those who cling to worthless idols forfeit the grace that could be theirs. Grace is the word. The Hebrew word hesed or chesed is translated as love, grace, and lots of other ways. It refers to God's unconditional covenant of love. And Jonah turned his back on God's unconditional covenant love. Love that gives purpose, love that provides, love that protects. Jonah forfeited it all, chasing an idol which was doing things his way and not going to Nineveh as God originally called him to do. Look at verse 9. But I, with a song of thanksgiving, will sacrifice to you. What I have vowed I will make good. Salvation comes from the Lord. He's not talking about heaven and hell salvation here. Jonah realizes what we all realize, that salvation from guilt is found in the Lord. Salvation from fear is found in the Lord. Salvation from a broken heart is found from the Lord. Salvation from purposelessness is from the Lord. Salvation from loneliness is from the Lord. What is it that you're trying to save yourself from? Well, salvation from that is from the Lord. Why are you running from the very source of the God you've intended to pursue? Because here it is. Ultimately, the only way out of the belly of a fish is from the supernatural act of God. And when you're in the middle of the pouring down rainstorm that you've created and everything looks bleak, salvation is from the Lord. Look at verse 10. And the Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. God was trying to protect and provide for Jonah. God didn't have to have the fish spit Jonah out on the dry land. It could have been in the middle of the sea, and he had to struggle to get back to it. He could have had him spit him out at 10,000 fathoms below the water and have him swim his way to the top. But God commanded the fish to spit Jonah onto dry land, and Jonah, with this whitewashed skin from the acid of this fish's belly, walked all his way up the shore to pursue that which he walked away from originally. Why did Jonah run to God after facing this hurricane-like storm and 3 days in the belly of a fish? It's because he saw 4 powerful insights of how God looks at the runner who is ready to turn back to God. God listens to the runner, and because God was in the circumstances that led him to this vomit session, and that God's discipline is always thorough and effective, and because God's motive is to provide and protect. And Jonah realized that what could have seemed like a torture chamber, what appeared to be a death trap, what looked like a hurricane to end it all and flood him out, was actually God not paying him back, but bringing him back. And when you decide to run back to God, you too will be embraced. How many of you are still running? How many of you need a change? How many of you have thought for so long that God doesn't want you anymore? You've done too many bad things to be accepted by Him. How many of you have turned your back on God, the God that you were so resolutely pursuing in the previous to that? Isn't it time to start running to God? God may be shouting down to you, I love you, Barry. You're going to make it. I know the way, God says. Are you ready to stop running from Him and start running to Him? Whether it's a specific sin or scenario or a life of rebellion, it doesn't matter. Maybe you haven't given your life to the Lord yet, or maybe you haven't given a certain part of your life to the Lord. Is now the time to do that? If so, I'd love to know in the comments below. Now, in the next video, we're going to look at Jonah chapter 3. We're going to begin that chapter and how Jonah began running with God. It's an incredible turn in the story of Jonah. And be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. It helps us get the word out. And if you like our stuff, consider supporting us with a tip on PayPal or tax-deductible donation at YouChoose.Community. Those links are below. So right now, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, ding, and share this thing, because no doubt somebody you know probably needs to hear this. And if you're ready to start running to God, let me know in the comments below and I'll pray for you. Until next time, God bless.